Hi, welcome to Rubber City Throwdown. Today we're doing our first episode of Jitz with Jason Davis. Jason Davis is a brown belt at Waterhouse Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and he's an old friend of mine. We used to be on Pain headquarters. We started MMA together.
Long time ago.
What was that, like 12 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Back when you used to fight. You don't fight anymore now, do you?
No.
Yeah,
no.
you've kind of put that behind you.
I'm too old.
How old are you now?
I'll be 40.
Oh my God, you guys! I forget I forget how much older you guys were than
Right.
me when we first started. Because I was like 18, 19, and then Russ, yourself, Jeremy, Johnny, we're all 29, 30 at the time.
That's the bad thing. We started late. We got a late jump into the MMA. Going back, hey, I wish that I was 18 when I started, because it was fun. But
Right.
it's, starting later in age, it puts a lot of wear and tear on the body, all that training.
Yes, I feel that's why I'm kind of like I took some years off and did the whole military thing, came back, took more time off. Now being almost 31, now I'm trying to get back into it, and basically this is like it for me. It's like my last chance to make some type of comeback and do what I wanted to do in the sport, and if I can, but just at a different weight class now.
Right.
So it's definitely but yeah, it's definitely hard on the body. I don't know if it's just because of all the shit that I've been through over the last few years, but I feel you guys. You guys started at that age.
I mean, in my mind, I'm 18 still, but my body lets me know real quick
Yeah, it's the same.
how old I am.
Yeah, the same thing. I don't feel 30, and then I go to stand up, and my knees, my elbows, the arthritis in my knees and my elbows, my back, everything is just falling apart. It seems. So
It's
yeah,
a
I
rough
feel
sport. It's a young man's game. Although there's still some active, very, very tough guys that are even older than me out there fighting. I mean,
Right.
I think we just covered
Fred Davis.
Fred Davis,
is
42 years old.
I'm
He's
jealous.
Still competing in the Masters division. Just beat a younger, about 20-year younger Matt Matlock. Put him down in the first round, overhand right,
Pro.
TKO.
Pro.
No, Amy.
Really?
He's still fighting Amy.
I thought a few years, well, maybe a decade ago, I thought when you were 35 years old, you were considered,
now
Yeah,
with
they
the
just
OAC now.
No,
Right.
they opened it back up to where,
Yeah,
It's-
he's still in the Masters division.
but he can fight young.
As long as he gets that CAT scan and he's clear to
Oh,
go.
okay.
Yeah, those fights will get
Okay.
approved. So
I think the last time we saw him was at the Tadmore Shrine, right? For Cage Madness.
yeah, I think he lost that fight. I can't even remember who he fought.
Oh, it was that? No offense, it was the the weird black guy. He kept laying around on the fucking mat.
Yeah, I'm not
It was either that or it was
a
RFO.
weird black guy.
I'm sorry.
No offense, but the
he
weird.
he was an awkward fighter, and I don't even know too much about the sport at the time. And I was looking at him going, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
I thought that.
I don't.
I
You know
thought
what?
Fred
No, I don't
Davis's
think that was
last
him.
fight was against like Joshua Barbie or something like that.
You might be right. I
But
think
I-
I might be thinking of RFO 48.
Yeah, I don't know.
RFO 48. Wow. I think I fought on the
Yeah,
first RFO.
his last fight was against Joshua Barbie, who's definitely not weird and not
No,
black.
no.
But that was at Cage Madness 49, and then he was on a 2-fight losing streak. He fought Ben Shoulders as well. We had him on the show last year, but he's fought guys like John Cook from Evolve.
Did he
So,
really? He fought John Cook?
Yeah, and 8 years ago, back
Yeah.
in 2010.
You know
but,
what? Okay.
but
That
yeah,
was,
it
I think, maybe, was that at Chaparral's, I think, maybe, when he fought
uh,
John Cook?
NAAFS Midwest Combat
Yeah.
Challenge.
Okay, I
Yeah,
remember
so
John was in great shape, man. Well,
he's still in great shape
Yeah,
for his age, right?
oh yeah, he's a tough dude, man. Got a great thing going on down there at Evolve.
Now you, ever since I've known you, you've always done jujitsu on the side. It seems. How long have you actually been training, doing jujitsu?
Well, definitely, I started training, no gi. Well, when I started fighting, obviously we would train no gi for our submissions. When you're training MMA, you're going to the ground, right?
Right.
But so I started training probably 2005. But I have a wrestling background. Wasn't a great wrestler. I just had enough of a wrestling background to allow me to survive. So once I got into MMA, I really kind of started to learn just the no-gi, some sweeps, and some basic submissions. Trained. So I'd say I started probably about '05, '06, and then once my MMA career kind of started tailing off, I was getting old. I lost a few fights in a row, got beat up, by some of these young cats coming up, and I was like, I want, after all this training and time in the gym doing MMA, I was like, I'm not really going to have anything to kind of show for it aside from just,
Right.
maybe knowing how to defend myself. I was
Right.
like, I want something to show for all the time that I put in on the mats. So that's when I started venturing into gi, traditional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And my hopes is, hey, I want to earn a black belt.
Right.
And so I'm still working towards that goal. And that's when I, started searching around, and I found Eduardo Duda-Barros at Duda-Barros Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Akron, and started training with him, and the rest is history.
Okay.
Now, how long have you been with Waterhouse?
When you're training jiu-jitsu, everybody's journey is different, and I took some time off.
Right.
I have a daughter who's active in sports, and I love watching her. She plays softball, and I love watching her play softball. So, and I coached, and so I took a break, and during that break, my instructor kind of stepped back and retired from teaching.
Right.
He kind of turned his academy over, and so I've been with Waterhouse now about 6 months, and we both trained under Eduardo.
Okay.
So that's how I know Matt, and Matt's phenomenal. His jiu-jitsu style is just it's awesome, and I really love training there. He's got a great academy and such a really solid group of guys in there.
Yeah, I train with you guys. I go Tuesdays and Thursdays. I haven't made it to a Sunday yet, but that's usually because it's our recording day, so it's just like a lazy day for me. I need to get in there because I feel like on an open mat,
Yeah.
it's where you learn the most.
Right.
And but yeah, he's Waterhouse is a very technical guy. The academy is a very technical academy, and I love it. I mean, half the shit I can't use in an MMA fight,
Right.
but that doesn't matter to me. There's that MMA jiu-jitsu, and then there's Brazilian jiu-jitsu, gi, technical, and I like the fact that like he doesn't just hand out belts like candy.
it
There's
takes
a ton. I'm not gonna mention any names. There's a ton of people, ton of gyms that hand out belts like like once a week, it seems. You know what I'm saying? There are guys who you get a black belt in 6 weeks, and you're like, and that same guy will come into an academy like Waterhouse and get their ass beat by a white belt who's been there for a year and a half. So and just to give everybody that idea, in a technical academy like this, you'll be there for a year and a half before you even move up to blue.
Yeah,
And I've known guys it's been 3+ years for them to go from white to blue, and then another 3+ years to go from blue to purple. And I mean, you've been training since
well
last
over a decade.
13
Yeah.
years,
2005.
and you're a brown belt.
Yeah,
So I mean, you're close. How long do you think you have until you get
I
that
don't
belt?
I don't put a time frame
Right.
on it. I just I allow the professor and my instructor when they feel that I'm ready. I got every day I step in there, I'm learning. I mean,
Yeah.
the beauty of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's just always evolving, and it's always changing, and there's just always so much to learn. And then when you're trying to keep up with all the current techniques, you kind of roll back around and
No pun
work on some of the
intended.
basic stuff here that you're kind of
Right.
my Bravo, there's always stuff to learn. So that's the beauty of it. And I will say, going back to my MMA career, I really do believe that every MMA fighter should really seek out gi jiu-jitsu,
Okay.
because it slows everything down on a technical standpoint, and it really allows, when you are fighting, to you're a lot calmer, and you're a lot more confident, and if you get a guy and you take him down, think pass, think position, pressure, all that. Even in an MMA fight, obviously you want to protect your head from getting from strikes and stuff like that. But I think every MMA guy should really do gi jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Right. And I said I'm not planning on stepping back in the cage till like next fall, next winter, and I plan on doing gi jiu-jitsu the entire
Forever.
time. Consistency.
Forever.
Yeah.
Never
Forever.
Yeah,
Forever and ever.
You start, you can't quit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't
gotta
plan.
keep it
I
sharp.
never, I
Not
never
quit.
plan on quitting. Actually, like when I got back into the cage, I never planned on quitting. As I even told my coach that, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays that's jujitsu time,
Right.
you know. And I've got a boxing match coming up next week, and last night I was doing jujitsu. So there's always a place. There's always going to be a place for it, even in training. So I mean, hell, he was even asking about, hey, well, you know, because we got the new gym opening up, you know, the next month or so.
Is
And he's
this gym, MMA gym?
yeah, MMA gym actually. It's Apex Fight Systems under Brian Clark. He's opening up a gym 9,000 square feet over
Wow.
on North Arlington, and he's even getting like the Honor Fighting Championship cage in the gym.
Oh, is it really?
Because he's the general manager for Honor Fighting
Wow.
Championship, so we're going to have the cage in there. You know, he's got tons of equipment getting ready to get moved in, and he was even like, "Hey, man, do you think Waterhouse would like leave where he's at now, and you know, basically his clients are his clients, move over to the gym,
Yeah.
and you know, any new guys that would come in obviously and do gi jiu-jitsu would be he'd take a cut, but all the original he would get 100%, and I'm sure he'd like half his rent. I don't even know what he pays over at
Oh,
Snap
yeah, I'm
Fitness.
not
Yeah,
sure.
I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But he had even made the suggestion, and I was like, oh, I don't know about all
Yeah.
that. I mean, these guys are pretty settled in, but
I know he's been there where he's at for a while. He loves
Yeah.
it there. It's a good location. And he's
yeah,
kinda-
it's interesting. When I first was trying to find it, you
Yeah.
know, it's located at the old. Is it Old Coventry High School, or
Well,
is
yeah.
that still the Coventry High School?
No, they built a new school down the street. It
Okay.
is the old Coventry High School. Back for the old school guys, it was the old Jackie Lee's.
Yeah,
like,
Jackie
a
Lee's.
long
I remember
time ago.
I remember when it was Jackie Lee's too.
Yeah.
The Jackie Lee's is the one where the pool was attached to the back side of the high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a pool
Yeah,
back
There's
there.
still a pool in there.
But around the back, there's the Snap Fitness.
Right.
And you know what you do is like there's no sign on the Snap Fitness sign up front that says Waterhouse or anything like that. So like when I was first trying to find it, I'm walking through there, the doors are locked because you have to have like a key code. So
Where
I'm
the hell
like,
am I at?
all right, I ring the bell a couple times, nothing happened. I ring it again, that finally door snapped up. I walk in and I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the right place, man. And then I kind of look over and I look down this narrow hallway where the racquetball courts are, and I
Right.
see a line of backpacks and shoes, and I'm like, I guarantee that's it. And I'm walking past these people playing racquetball. Then there's another court down there. They're playing volleyball. In the very last room, the racquetball court, it's just a whole room full with mats,
Okay.
just covered in mats on the wall. Well, they don't have mats on the wall, but yeah, the whole racquetball court's covered in mats. And big old flag in the back, Waterhouse. And I was like,
Yeah, I like
here
it
we go.
because it kind of has like an old school feel to it. You know, there's some beautiful gyms.
It
No pun
reminds me
intended.
of, Unique, it reminds me of Unique Fitness when you walk in and then you go
Oh.
down the stairs and
Oh, yeah.
you're in the basement. You got no cell phone reception. You're like completely secluded. It feels
been
like
to
an old
Unique.
dungeon.
Yeah.
You know,
That's where I first started training, man.
This
Right.
guy takes me, my cousin, and this is just a little bit of a reflection. Back when he was still fighting for the NAAFS, he takes me and my cousins over to Unique Fitness. He goes, "You guys want to see what I do every time that I go to train? You guys think I'm joking around? You guys think I'm just some kind of musclehead? Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna smoke you." My two cousins were out there. He's got us on the fucking mats. He's got us doing fucking reps back and forth on the push-ups. Got us doing sit-ups. Got us doing leg
we're
push.
doing bench press. We're lifting.
Yeah,
We're doing strength
everything.
training. And
He's
they're
got us
just-
on ladder.
They
He
were
got-
just sucking ass, man. It was,
So my two cousins, he would finish up his whole training scenario. He would finish off with 2 more reps of 20 push-ups with 2 more reps of 20 crunches. As soon as we get over into the room with all the mats, I hit the floor. My arms are jelly. Just
Oh, yeah.
I can't lift myself back up because we did all the ladders and everything else that we were doing. It was fucking amazing. But then, like you said, you have no cell phone reception. You're like in the dungeon.
It is.
And
That was
it's
a great feel.
It is. It is a great feel just to be in that. Like, it almost makes you want to talk about Fight Club. And it's one of those things you don't talk about Fight Club.
Hey, there were some battles down in there. You know,
There was, yeah.
There was some. I'll tell you, a lot of very tough guys walked through those doors and at some point and did a little training down there.
Right.
It was even before they busted out that wall and made the blood room.
Yeah, that was
it
way
was
before.
basically it was in the back of the gym and a little room. They had wrestling mats and mirrors.
That's
and
where we were doing
kickboxing
the-
bags.
That was
And
way
yeah.
before the Rock Hard, right? The Rock
That was
Hard.
it was way before Rock Hard.
that.
We were just Unique Fitness, and then Russ came in. We were Payne headquarters, and I'm actually wearing my old Payne headquarters shirt right now. I can't get rid of this thing, man.
Hey, I got a Payne headquarters. I think I had that shirt. I have
It's
a
the
Payne
one-
headquarters hoodie in my car right now that I still wear.
I see. I lost the hoodie. I don't know. It was like an old girlfriend stole it or some shit. Maybe got lost in a move. I was really upset because I
Yeah.
had the hoodie. But yeah, this is the shirt, and this shirt is one of I think 4 shirts that were made. There was one made for you. There was one made for me. Worm
Yeah.
and I think Russ. I think it was Russ. And it was basically all the fighters.
Yeah.
And because I know like Johnny didn't have one. He wasn't actively fighting
Right.
and well, to be honest, I didn't even know if Johnny was actually an active part of Payne headquarters. I mean, he came in and
Murphy?
trained.
Or
Owens.
Oh,
Owens.
well, he
This was before Murphy.
Yeah.
We're talking what? John Murphy.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
John Murphy. Yeah, it was before Johnny came in, and like I said, there's the original. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember you guys coming in and cross training with Rising Phoenix at that abandoned warehouse over by Akron
Brody,
University.
right? Brody?
Yeah, Brody Arnold and Tommy Kazzias and Chris Kazzias. They had opened up that gym, and it said it got shut down by the fire marshal. It was just bad. That's what we had. We had like I had mats from Kenmore High School that was donated, gymnastic mats that they never used. They donated
It was
to
hard
the
training
gyms.
on those mats because those things are thick.
So they were so thick, those gymnastic mats. And then, so yeah, then we ended up, once Rising Phoenix went down, I joined you guys at Payne headquarters. And yeah,
I
the
believe
rest-
that, yeah, because I think that you had a couple fights already under your belt even before I fought.
I had three fights that I did. It was, I was, when I came into Payne headquarters, I think I was like 2-1. Yeah, I had because I was 2-0 to start, and then I left when Rising Phoenix went out. I tried to create my own team called Team Domination, where I was the only fighter.
Well, you dominated for a little while.
And I
Until you
fought
lost.
John
I did not know
Hedges.
that.
And then
Yeah,
you
I
lost.
I know that.
I fought John Hedges. We even had T-shirts. Yeah, I ended up getting rid of that T-shirt too. I was like,
John Hedges.
I didn't even know that you had a
Two-
T-shirt.
yeah,
That must have been the time that I
2006
was living in West
national-
Virginia.
2006 national champion, amateur heavyweight champion.
John Hedges?
Yeah, John
he
Hedges.
was, I remember
the
him. He was
showstopper.
tough. Yeah, he was
And I
tough.
fought him. And then actually, I think I took another fight, War on the Shore against Jason Ringer, where I know Tommy Aziz was cornering me. So I was still Team Domination there, and then I had the fight against Tony Underwood, and that was the one where you were
Another next
cornering me.
level.
Yeah, you were cornering me. So it would have been September of 2007 where I joined you guys, and then I took that fight on short notice.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I think that was John Murphy's. He was part of that promotion over at Emilio and Sons. I took the fight on 15
Oh,
minutes.
yeah.
You called me, or Russ called me. Someone called me
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, what's your weight at?" I said 240. You want to fight? And I was like, "Are you shitting me?"
Yeah.
Like fight. You got 15 minutes to get here to weigh in, and I fought that kid
Yeah.
Eric Krebs from PA, and I won that fight by unanimous decision. And yeah, and then I had the title fight after that. So yeah, I was with Payne headquarters from September of 2007.
It was kind of amazing. You know, I like reminiscing, man. You know, I miss it a little bit. And it was, you know, it was fun back then, you know, and from a small little group of guys, I mean, you know, we didn't have a lot of high, you know, caliber, like coaches and stuff. We were just kind of teaching ourselves back then. I mean, nowadays, I mean, these guys got strength and conditioning coaches and just, you know, dietitians and just, which you have to nowadays because the level at the top is very competitive,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, I think a lot of schools aren't around now that were around like back then when Payne headquarters
Right.
was around.
It's kind of like a forgotten name too. There are some fighters now where I'll talk and I'm like, yeah, I used to fight with Russ Halsey in Payne headquarters, and they're like, I never heard of
Yeah,
it. And I'm like,
it's-
how did you never heard of Payne headquarters, man? I mean, but yeah, there's
Well, you're also coming into a like we've all said before, a young man's sport. So
Yeah,
the people
I mean-
that you're talking to, they're in their 20s, 18, 19, 20 years old. And
Yeah,
they're
and they
gonna
just
be-
see like the gyms that are currently up
Right,
now,
you know,
Victory,
they're-
Strong Style, Evolve, which are like the three main gyms really in the area, and then
The Griffin Raw up there with Jason Dent.
Yep.
Griffin, and even they say Griffin Roll. I don't remember. I don't even remember the last time a Griffin Roll. I've seen a Griffin Roll fighter fight
know.
MMA on a local
And
card,
they
at
used
least
to-
when I've been at. So, when we fought, it was Griffin Roll versus Strong Style. Basically, it was that
It was a
rivalry.
good run. They had both teams, obviously strong style. I mean, arguably, the best in the Midwest, one of the top teams and places to train, in the United States. Look who they have. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
Stipe and
he's,
everything.
and Jessica I, they got a lot of great fighters. A lot of fighters left their gyms, smaller gyms, and went up there.
Yeah, and I think that's what killed off a lot of the smaller gyms.
Yeah, there's like the Jungle Fight team.
Yeah,
Remember
right.
them?
Jungle,
Ryan
yep,
Madigan and John
Madigan.
Hawk.
And now Madigan has World Kickboxing Academy. There's a small old place up in Cuyahoga Falls, right down the street from the LA Fitness.
You were training there for a little while.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I wasn't like training there. I think I
No,
did
you were
some
doing a lot
kickboxing
of
classes
yeah,
and stuff like that. I was just trying to
cardio,
get in shape,
kickboxing,
but,
and stuff.
yeah, so yeah, Madigan's doing his thing, but Madigan's always been a kickboxer
Yeah.
type of guy.
One of the
He tries to
great-
veer away from the sport of MMA, and he has a couple fighters that he trains with and works with that do mixed martial arts. But yeah, for the most part, I think he just had two fighters do a kickboxing match. Both of them won. And then you can't forget about like Aries Combat Sports Academy. Dave
Yeah.
Graff. He's got a good facility over like in the Northfield area. So yeah, there's.
Yeah, I haven't been to
And we
this
can't forget
facility.
about Victory too. I mean, Victory.
I already talked. We already mentioned Victory.
Did we?
Yeah,
That's the
Victory.
Gator Fight team.
Yeah,
They-
they're not.
okay.
They're not
That's
instigators.
good.
Well, no, but
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah.
I mean, those guys. Oh, man, you knew, if you were, matched up against a guy from Victory or
Yeah.
Instigator, you were going to be in for a war because
Well,
those guys.
Well, I mean, hell, even Victory right now, they're undefeated this year. I think they're
Really?
like 7-0 or something like that.
Drew, I know Drew.
Yeah, Drew's Schottenheimer is coming up. He's fighting on the 31st. I think
You
Mitch.
said his
Otto-
name right.
Yeah, I know. I've been practicing.
Is he their main? Is he like their main?
Co-main event right
No,
now.
but I mean, coming out of Victory, is he their main fighter right now? Probably.
I don't know if he's like their main fighter. I'd like to think so. He's been there for 12
Yeah, well,
years
yeah.
or so. But yeah, he's definitely as professional wise. I think he's like one of the only. I think there's
I
a
think
few
there's
pros.
two. I think
There's a
there's
few
two.
pros there, but yeah, he's actively, the guy when you think of Victory. Like, at least when I think of Victory, I think of Drew.
Right.
Terry Blackwell doesn't fight anymore. He'll get in there and
Oh,
spar
man,
with
he
your
was,
ass.
we've got a couple of really good roles on camera about him, and
Yeah,
He's.
and-
I mean.
But
That
you got,
guy is
you got
solid.
like Mitch Dotto. I'm pretty sure Mitch trains. He's with Victory. He had a lot of guys. I think say Lamont, Jamal Lamont. He put on a clinic. That was a great fight on our fighting championship too. That
Yeah.
he had. He was out there. He put it all out there against Chris Faddick, I believe, and that was like a 3-round war that he took. He was in the
Yeah.
back throwing up. It was a beautiful fight too. That was a war, and yeah.
we've got his post
I'm
fight.
pretty sure that as of 2018, every single fighter has won, and they're like 7-0 or something like that.
They're looking
on the
for a
year.
title.
And Andrew Law, who
Oh,
trained.
yeah.
That's right. That's another big name.
Yeah.
I completely.
Law.
Yeah,
Is he out of?
yeah. He Tusk
a judo
judo.
black belt, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
he's judo black belt. He trains at Tusk judo, and he's out of Victory.
Yeah.
That's a big name that I wasn't even thinking about
Yeah.
until just now. Yeah,
Well, that's why I
he's-
said there's at least two.
Yeah, so Drew, you
He's
got
been around for a
Andrew.
while. Yeah, he's been around for a while.
and
I'll
he-
tell you
and
what, man,
Ju-
Andrew Law, with the record that he has going for him for amateur, and then what he has
No,
for
he's 10-4
professionals,
as
10-4.
he's 10-4 as a pro. He's got a 6-fight winning streak right now, and it's just been announced that he's competing for the professional welterweight title for Honor Fighting Championship 4.
Yep.
So next
Really?
month,
Yeah,
April
for the
28th at the
Summit County
Yeah,
Fairgrounds.
he's going to be fighting for the title, and then
I know
MMA Jesus.
back
Jesus.
back in the day. I mean, I think it was he fought for Cage Madness a couple times when they used to have the shows at Pronios.
Mm-hmm.
One of my good friends, Doug Jones, you know Doug,
Yeah, Doug,
right?
yeah.
He's a Springfield High School head wrestling coach, but
Right.
he fought. He doesn't fight anymore, but back when he was fighting, I think he was undefeated, tough guy, And I always kind of wanted to see him and Law fight. You know, they're
Right.
both at 170. Andrew Law being, you know, a judo black belt.
Right.
Doug being just a great wrestler, wrestled, I believe, at Mount Union. I was hoping there was going to be a showdown, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, Doug, you know, he other things kind of, you know,
Right.
get in the way. And
There's always life.
life gets in the way sometimes.
Right.
Yeah,
There's
right. We
always
were
life.
talking about that. How do you find that balance? And sometimes fighters can't find that balance. Yeah, like Andrew Law, like he beat Mickey Marsak last month, and yeah, now he's fighting Reginald Merriweather on the 28th of April for the welterweight title. So it's going to be a great fight, I think. And you know, I got to go with my hometown hero, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he trains at one of the top gyms in the Northeast, so Northeast Ohio. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's go ahead and get into this Fight to Win promotion. It's Fight to Win Pro 69. Was it April 6th, 2018, over at the Northeast Sports Plant at, what does it look at, 20001 Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio. We got some big names. That's why we brought you on here. You know more about this than we do, obviously. Thus the name, Jitz with Jason. So we're going to talk about this event. And we're going to start at the bottom of the barrel. On this card, there are a lot of fights on this card,
Right.
and a big reason why we're covering this, we want to at least talk about this, is that there are a lot of MMA fighters,
Right.
that are on this, and some of the guys that and girls that I know and I've seen, I've trained with or competed with in the past. So
Isn't there a couple of huge names in there too?
there's a couple big names. I mean, there's like just throwing out there real fast. Jessica
Jessica
I,
Ai,
UFC veteran. You know, Jessica
Yeah.
I is competing on this.
Yeah.
And then we've got a
um,
couple of really nice local big names that we have on there too.
And this is very interesting because like I've never seen a competition. I've never competed. One day I think I'd like to when I feel that I'm ready. But
Although it's been a long time. I mean, I haven't competed in a long time myself. I mean, it's just like MMA, you know. In order to compete, you know, you got to physically, you know,
Yeah.
be ready, but you also mentally have to be ready. You know,
Right.
win or lose, MMA, Fight to Win, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
well, obviously you can't punch,
No.
you can't kick. Now I know that Eddie Bravo and his they slapped. Do they slap in this?
No,
slapping.
No, there's no slapping. It's you know, the rules are different with every competition. You know, some competitions you can't slam. A Fight to Win, you can slam. So if you're going in for your takedown, hey, you can slam your opponent. You know, but rules are
okay.
different with
What
every
are
competition.
what are like rounds? Are there rounds? Are there round times?
Yeah, they're usually they are 1 5-minute round, and again, scoring's different too.
Right.
So you know, some are point based, some are not. I have not been to a Fight to Win yet. Hopefully, I'm able to make this one. All kind of depends on, you know, my daughter's sports.
Right.
She comes
Right.
first. So, but I am excited. I really love this format. It's almost to kind of compare it. It's almost kind of like an MMA event, but for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
You know, it's elevated stage. You got the
Right.
lights on you. You know, you're coming out. They have fight cards. Yeah, I love the setup. Not only, you know, do I love the setup, but I think, you know, it really gives these local competitors an opportunity to shine on a big stage. Really, you know, which you know I really like. It's also purple belts and above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, purple belts and above.
I was
Gear-
going to ask about that too, because like it states like on the card it'll say purple belt, it'll say what they are, but then there are some like the first one here is a 135-pound no gi, but it doesn't say like there's a belt.
No,
Whereas
no.
some will say belt, but it is purple and above.
Yeah, yeah. When it says purple belt, you know.
So Norm, on that, does that show like only when there's a gi does it show a belt, or does it show a belt with the no?
Oh
gi
no,
as well?
there's like they'll show the weight. It'll be purple belt no gi, and then
Okay.
it'll just say no gi, but it won't say a belt. So I guess I'll just
Yeah.
assume that
Yeah.
It's purple.
it's a purple and
Well,
above.
the fight cards they're going to start out at your purple belts and work their way to black. So you're
Okay.
gonna have,
Yeah.
you have you know multiple purple belt matches. No gi. These guys they're purple belts. Purple belt gi. A lot of the guys that are competing no gi also compete gi.
Okay.
Right.
So and then they work through the purples, the browns, and then are going to go to the blacks all the way up to the main event.
Okay. The only reason why I was asking was because it just helps our listeners,
Right.
understand.
No, yeah,
You know,
I understand.
maybe there was a question that they had as well.
Yeah.
And we just answered it. So.
Right. And I mean, like the first one here, they said we got a 135 no gi. It's Alyssa Pyro out of Rio Pro BJJ versus Hope Jones out of Toss Academy. You know, and granted, we have no information. We have zero information on these fighters. We're just kind of reading off the card a little bit. If we happen to know the fighter, we'll talk about them. So
Yeah, there are a lot.
This
of
is our
fighters-
newest segment, so
There are a lot of
there's-
fighters on this card that I don't even know. You know,
Right,
because
yeah.
with the explosion of Brazil, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's a lot of gyms that are opening up in Ohio. There's a lot of gyms that are opening up in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Indiana, surrounding states. So you have a lot of competitors that are coming in from out of state to fight on this card too. So I don't know every fighter, but there are a lot of big names local that are on this card that I'm excited to see, and there's some really great matchups that I'm really interested in too. So,
Okay.
yeah, we got 145-pound no gi. We got Tyler Story out of Pador Sawyer,
where are you at?
and
That's Pedro Sauer.
okay, and then we got Zane Finney out of was that Braza?
Braza. Yeah, Braza. Strong style is Braza.
Oh, really?
Yeah, is it? Okay.
That's Braza, and then they have another up in Toledo. There's another academy up there as well. Yeah, so it's let me see. Let's try to move on to some guys that we know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, we had Jeffrey Ofak out of Griffin Roll.
And we were just
Griffin Roll
talking about we
Combat
haven't
Sports.
seen many of
Jeff
them.
Starr, black belt out of Griffin Raw.
Okay.
Ben Wilford out of Strong Style.
That's going to be a matchup because those strong style guys, they come ready to compete. They're always ready. They got they got some of the best grapplers and MMA fighters in the area training out of that school. So, Pablo Castro's black belt, strong style. He's the head instructor. He competes. He competed on the last Fight to Win card when it was in Cleveland.
Okay.
So he's an active competitor too, and he's been on the scene, just not with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but just with MMA too. You look in the
Right.
corner of the top MMA fighters, you're going to see him there.
Okay.
So these strong style guys, they're going to be ready. Whenever you see strong style as your opponent, you're going to be in for a good fight. Purple belt, no gi 135. Let's talk a little Jessica I versus Tamara Leonard.
And Tamara Leonard, she's out of Adventure Martial Arts.
She is, and she's an active competitor too. I don't know her personally, but I've seen some of her matches online, and I know she trains with a lot of with Jennifer Racinos. She was a black belt who just came up from San Diego a couple years ago. I'm interested in this fight. I want to see how Jessica does against a pure Brazilian
Right.
Jiu-Jitsu
Right, yeah.
practitioner, if you will. I think Jessica's she's a good grappler. She's very strong.
Right.
All the years that she's put in, within the MMA, you're doing a lot of grappling as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's very strong too, and she's very technical. I know she fought on the last Fight to Win card, and I know she's also did a no gi fight with Misha Tate as
Okay.
well. a
So
few
she's
years ago.
not uncommon to find in these jiu-jitsu
No,
tournaments.
in a lot of MMA guys, they're going to bounce. They see these cards, they're going to jump on it because that's just more opportunity for them to compete
Right.
and to get better.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited to.
And I know Jessica was just at Aries Combat Sports Academy cross training, which actually surprised me because Jessica is out of Strong Style,
Right.
and she was at Aries cross training. They got pictures and Instagram photos of her training with Sean Rawl, who's competing against Strong Style's Cody Stevens.
Right.
So I was
And
like,
that was the other big name that I was talking about. We've covered Cody Stevens last year.
he was our
Yeah.
featured
He
fighter.
was our
last
featured
year. I mean,
fighter.
the guy's damn near impossible to get a hold of to do interviews.
He's
with
constantly in the
because
gym,
he's constantly grinding.
Well, he has his
So,
own.
Yeah, he's got his
Gym
own
as
spot
well,
now. Yeah.
right?
dude. Right. Yeah.
I mean, he's a pioneer. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he was
Yeah.
fighting before I fought. I don't know if is he done fighting?
No,
No,
oh,
no.
hell
MMA
I mean,
wise,
he just had a fight. Unfortunately, I believe he lost, but he was on a tear there for a little bit. He did he was in Thailand
Okay.
He got a scholarship with a gym up there. They sponsored him. They brought him in. He was there for a while, and then they wanted him to stay, so he stayed even longer. He competed in Thailand, and then he competed internationally. I will always say this though: the Cody his career has been plagued by injuries. He's got so many injuries. I couldn't even start telling. I mean, tears. I mean, hell, you look up his fight against I can't remember the guy's name, Jesus or something like that.
It's
He's actually fighting.
DeJesus.
Yeah, he that fight alone, Cody actually tore, like, ripped his hamstring,
Right.
and there was there was no fight, and there was no quit in Cody. The
Right.
dude's
No,
a fighter. He just kept going and going and going. Yeah, he fought in September. He lost to Jordan Griffin
Okay.
at Big Guns 25. That was for a title fight. He ended up losing in the 4th round by a guillotine choke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, but before that, I mean, he had beaten Pride's veteran Charles Bennett. He had beaten Anthony Morrison. He had lost to John
DeJesus.
to Jesus, and then to Jesus.
To
He lost to Jesus.
I think we did that
Is he
too.
out of Green Hell?
DeJesus?
Yeah.
I have no idea. He's
No?
he's actually fighting Josh Roller.
Oh, is your? Oh,
Yeah, then
man.
that's coming up on next this
Roller
on
is
the 28th.
an absolute animal.
He's fighting.
Yeah.
He's fighting Josh Roller on the 28th. That fight was just announced. So
We had
Quick story in Roller. When he went to St. V, just great wrestler. You
Right.
know, he's real. You know, he's competing big time. I would love to have seen him on this card. I mean, he's really jumping into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. But he's one of the best wrestlers really in Ohio in his time. Wrestled at St. V. I used to go into St. V and just kind of do some wrestling,
Right.
because I mean, just trying to stay in shape. I think
Right.
Coach Anthony Gary was the coach at that time, 2-time state champ. But I was a lot bigger than Roller. Roller's, I think, 52, 45, 52 weight class. And I go in there and, we're just kind of, doing takedowns, and I get paired up with Roller. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know he's good.
Right.
But so I'm in there, we're wrestling, man, and I get in so deep on a shot. I'm like, I'm gonna finish this thing, no problem. I'm so deep. Yeah, right. I mean, his
Right.
scrambling ability was so insane, man.
Right.
He just reaches over the back. It was almost baited me and
Right.
come take a shot on me. I got in so deep, he grabs my ankles. We're in a scramble, and he ends up finishing the shot. I mean, the guy is so good, man. And I tell you what, the sky is the limit for that guy, man.
Right.
He's just.
He was just on our last card for Honor 2.
he fought Brandon Webb out of Georgia,
Yeah.
and though he won in the first round, caught him with a mean uppercut in the first
Yeah.
round, but he actually finished with a standing rear naked choke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
it was
good.
that guy. He's very humble as a competitor as
He is.
well.
Trains out
And-
of Evolve,
yeah.
right? He's got, great gym at Evolve. Shannon White, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, running the show there with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that they got going on there. He is an active competitor himself. Very, very good instructor. And I know, he does a little cross-training with a friend of mine, Chris Kriebel, Roller does, who's another active competitor, very good black belt. So it's nice. I wish like I said, I wish he was on this card, because I love watching him compete.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
really good.
He's awesome.
But then, going back to the Cody Stevens and Sean Rawl. Sean Rawl, who had actually received, I believe, last year's submission of the year, or maybe the year before.
It was the
He had
year
a submission
before.
of the year. So Sean Rawl definitely no stranger to grappling.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
he's won many fights via submission. So it's
It's going to be an interesting.
yeah,
because
but
Cody's
then
got-
there's Cody, and when you think of Cody Stevens and grappling, look
I
at
immediately
all the
revert back
videos,
to the fight.
all
where
the
he was-
videos that he posts. I mean, look at like the Charles Bennett
Yeah.
fight alone.
Yeah.
Okay, he went all the round, every round, man. It was just on the ground, taking a shot. You can't.
I want to say it was within 30 seconds after the bell came back on. He was back into him, and they were both on the ground. And it just
But I mean,
constant.
just at a glance at Sean Rawls' MMA history, he's won. Submission, rear naked choke, submission, rear naked choke, submission, rear naked choke, triangle choke, guillotine choke, omoplata, guillotine choke, triangle, rear naked,
Wow,
rear naked.
jeez.
He is a ground guy. Don't be wrong, he's got his fair share of TKOs and knockouts and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but he's a ground guy.
It's going to
So
be an exciting fight.
yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting fight. And I've been following it closely, and there are people who are like, Cody Stevens is gonna win this, hands down, gonna win. But then you can't. Don't never say never. Sean Rawl is a competitor. He's a
Right.
good competitor, and he is training.
Well, it takes one small mistake here when you're grappling. You leave a limb hanging out. You leave a leg out.
Right.
You drop in on a leg lock. So, I mean, you got to try your best not to really make mistakes here. And I know Cody's been real active on the competitive scene as of late, gi and no gi.
Right.
I mean, he was down there at the Arnold's, I believe.
Yeah, he just did that.
He was on the podium. So he medaled. So it seems like he's really been diving in, head first into competing. So
Right.
I like seeing, him crossing over and doing a lot more competitions
Right.
in grappling. Because, I mean, he's about as tough as they come. He really is.
And then we got moving into the gi. We got Edward Bean at a next level. Now, is that next level as in next level in
tell ya.
Steubenville?
I can't tell you. I am not sure.
Because that's definitely a name that I haven't seen competitive wise in a while at next level. But that he's going up against Ricardo Casanova at a GFT. So
GFT, they have affiliate schools all over. It's grappling fight team.
Okay.
I mean, they're just one of the top teams in the world. So this, he's going to come in. He's going to be ready to go. I'm not real familiar with him, so I can't.
right.
I don't know. But moving on from him, another one that I'm excited to see compete is Jeffrey Pelton.
At a strong style.
Out of strong style.
Yeah. He's going to be against Marcus Crawford. We've actually covered a Marcus Crawford
Yeah.
last year. He and MMA wise, and he's Crawford's actually competing out of Gracie Humada.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
I know that's crosses over with Darren Branch, who is also on this card too.
Okay.
Training out of Cleveland. Jeffrey Pelton is a state champ in wrestling.
For who?
Bellevue. He's a
Okay.
Division
Really?
II state champ. I believe he was also a 3-time finalist. So he's a 2-time runner-up, and I think he won a state title. I think he might have wrestled at Notre Dame too in college. I'm not 100% sure on that. He's a state champ. Ohio, arguably is one of the top states in the country
Oh,
for wrestling. His
Right,
grab-
for wrestling,
so he's
yeah.
already going to have that strong base, hard to sweep. He's got a lot of pressure. It's no gi, so that's probably going to favor him better.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that because it was no gi with a strong wrestling background. It was going to really help him out.
So I'm really excited to I know he's actively fighting for strong style too. And so he's a name that you're going to see a lot more of, and he's going to be really tough.
Okay.
I'm excited to see that fight too. Moving on from him, we have another a purple belt no gi that John Plazic out of East Coast, who was recently promoted to purple belt.
Okay.
He was down at the Arnold's as well, double gold, I believe, gi and no gi as a blue belt.
Really?
He was a blue belt for almost close to 4 years. I mean, he was a blue belt for a long time. I believe he was a blue belt under a friend of mine, Chris McLeod. Him and his brother's also on the card, Tim. They're both down at East Coast right now. John is really good. He's really good scrambler. Goes inverted. Now his opponent, Michael Haskett. Do you see it on?
Yeah, it's out of leverage.
Out of leverage.
BJJ.
Now leverage. My goodness, man, they're a great academy. A Tom DeBlass affiliate. Tom DeBlass is one of the best in the world. No gi, especially no gi. World champion. These guys at leverage, man. Michael Haskett also was down at the purple belt division. He actually beat Cody Stevens, I believe.
Did he?
Yeah. In no gi.
Okay.
So you have somebody that won double gold as a blue belt moving up at the same tournament where you had the purple belt who also was gold. So I'm interested in seeing this matchup here. That's a hard one to call.
Right.
These
Yeah.
guys both they like to go for leg locks. That's going to be a good fight. Now his brother is fighting no gi 175. Tim,
And he's going up against Samuel Lehman.
Yeah,
Samuel Lehman out of Monarch BJJ.
Tim he's tall, he's wiry. You know, these guys, they're.
I've learned to hate tall
It's
guys, especially in gi.
Yeah.
And this fight, Tim Plazic is purple belt gi against Samuel. So I hate.
That's my kryptonite.
grappling
it's
with
my
tall
kryptonite,
guys,
man. It's
I was
so
waiting for you to say something about
Like,
grappling or something because you
it's
hate
just-
tall guys.
tall guys and grappling. They with me, they don't. I mean,
I was
it's
about to say that's
something about
90%
it, man.
of your life. So.
You know, it's so hard to pass these guys guards, you know, nowadays because they're just so flexible. You know, with everybody going inverted, you know, you're trying to they go inverted, man, and they spin back around, they're in guard again. I mean, it's a style that's really, I love grappling against them because I need it,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Perfect training tool.
It is, but it's tough. And then again, sometimes they say, hey, with my style, with the wrestling background, short, stocky, a lot more pressure, they like grappling with me, you know. So
Right.
it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Right.
you know?
Well, I mean, being a tall person myself, you know, not too tall, but on average. But, you know, being tall myself, me and him wrestled around when we were growing up, and it helped me learn, you know, where to keep my center of gravity. Because if I'm just walking around looking like I'm walking with a stick up my ass, of course, you're going to be able to take me down a hell of a lot faster because
Right.
I'm keeping my center of gravity up.
Right.
So I completely understand what these
Yeah.
tall people are talking about with having the smaller people.
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, these guys, I mean, they'll pull guard right
Yeah.
away because that's their style. They'll pull guard, you know, and then the game's on. You know, it's
Right.
I'm interested to see how the brothers do. East Coast is a great gym down in Canton. You know, they got a lot of good competitive. They compete a lot. They put on their own, you know, in-house tournaments.
Really?
For like white belts and blue belts, which is great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Chad's down there running the show. He's doing a really good job down there. He's a brown belt. Been a brown belt for a while, kind of like myself. So it's I'm glad to see those two on the card. Another strong style grappler, big on the scene. I don't know him personally, but I've watched some of his matches. Emil Fisher.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds familiar.
I've seen.
You know him?
I don't know him, but I've seen him around. I
Right.
mean, he's good friends with like John Gunther and
Yeah.
Cody Stevens,
Yeah.
and I've heard of. I've always been curious. I never knew what he was really known for, whether it be MMA, wrestling, or jiu-jitsu.
He's-
But I mean, he's going up against an Adam Sadney out of Rio Pro BJJ, and this is a purple nogi, and I mean, this is a 210-pound matchup.
Yeah.
That's going on here.
Is that common for jiu-jitsu being a little bit more of like a 200, 220 pound area?
Well, it's not like it discriminates.
Well, no, I wasn't saying that it did, but
But
you know,
fat people can't roll. Is that what you're
Well,
trying
hey,
to say?
he's I mean he's not fat at all. I mean,
I
No,
understand
he's
that.
just,
It's
it's
just
a common. Is a common
he's
for
just a big-
210.
no,
Wait till
he's
wait till we get to the big guys, the 250 pounder
Yeah.
that we're going to talk about.
the
here.
only reason why I ask is because of the fact that the card didn't show anything more than I think what the highest that we had earlier was what 170.
Well, you know, when these cards, they have, you know, you have to fill out an application to get onto the card.
Okay.
First of all, so you know, it all depends on who's filling out the applications and going through the process and who wants to compete. You know, there's a lot. I mean, there's weight classes all the way up to they have super heavy. You know?
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
wanted to
No,
know.
yeah,
I didn't
there's
know where the weight classes went
No, it
because
goes as big as you are and you want to compete. There's always somebody out there that's going to compete against you.
Now, okay, so they have like a 205. They got the 190. It's not like traditional MMA where there's an actual weight class. Do they agree on the weight?
I think with some of these cards, it's kind of
Like
like
they
catch
come
weight.
in
that
go,
was
hey,
that was
yeah.
the actual
Yeah,
question
yeah,
that I was
there's no,
going
there's
for.
no on
I
these
wanted
cards.
to
There's
find
no
out.
like, 135, 145, 55,
Yeah.
170, or anything like that. These are guys that just,
Because in boxing they have different weight classes, where there are more weight classes than
Right.
MMA, and they're different. Obviously, like it's like a 152
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah, no,
whereas
this is-
whereas jiu-jitsu, I wasn't sure if they actually had. I mean, like, oh yeah, we'll compete in the
They do.
210-pound weight class.
they do
or-
when you compete at the IBJJF.
Okay.
They have the set weight classes and stuff like that. But for these events here, you have some catch weights and just, hey, will you agree to fight at this weight and stuff
Right.
like that. So that's how it works.
Gotcha.
That was my mistake. Thank you for clarifying that.
No,
that's
no,
what
yeah,
I meant
yeah,
to
no.
get at. I didn't know how to word it properly because of the fact that it's a martial art, a tournament, pretty much. So
Emil Fisher, is active competitor, gi and no gi. He, comes out, wears the yellow gi, when he's doing no gi, spats, and he's got all these crazy designs.
Yeah.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Everything that I've seen on him, I mean, he's very confident too. He doesn't care if he's on his back. He don't care if he's on. I mean, very dangerous, very confident. And his opponent, Adam, and that name rings a bell. I could be wrong, but I think back in the day he's fought with Griffin Raw. I could be wrong. I don't know if there's a way to research this. But
Google can research anything.
see if he fought some MMA, and make sure you spell his name right too. I think is it S-A-D-M.
Yeah, Adam Sadney is a. I
Okay.
I think I spelled his
Because
name
if I'm
wrong.
not I
Well,
don't
after
even
he just told you 3 times not to spell it wrong.
S-A-D-N-Y.
Yeah, N-Y. I went N-E-Y.
Has he fought?
Griffin Roll, yeah.
Okay, I'm telling you, this guy right here, I remember this. That's why I was at the same ring. Years and years and years ago, he fought John Mongoose Myers.
He did.
Really?
Yeah, he beat him.
And
He beat him.
He kicked him in the face.
30
knocked
seconds
him
in the
out.
first round.
I was there. That's why I was like, how do I know this name? So, he's been around for a long time.
We started fighting in 2006.
Yes, he's
So-
he's been around. So I'm interested to see this matchup here. I know Adam. I've ran into him before. Probably doesn't remember, but that's okay. But I remember that fight because I was at that fight, and man, that was
The
a
Cleveland
brutal-
City Psycho.
That was his
That was
name.
his nickname. He's 5'11", 170 at a Mayfield Heights.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
when you drop kick somebody in the face and knock him the hell
No,
out.
he didn't drop kick him. I mean, that was just it was a kickboxing fight for
Oh, okay.
NAAFS at the
Yeah,
time.
I remember when the NWFS did.
Yeah, they
did
threw
the-
some
they did
events
some
on him, man.
kickboxing.
It was just a brutal knockout, man. I was like, whoa. So that should be an interesting fight, interesting matchup. Moving on to brown belt. Okay. Dinos Angelis, right? You see that name? The reason I bring up his name right here is that he is a former MMA fighter as well. I don't know if he's still fighting, but we actually fought on the same card.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. RFO might have been like RFO 1. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he was the main event and fought. Remember Chris Green from Next Level?
Yes.
He fought him. Believe it was the main event. That stands out because that was an absolute hell of a fight. I'm not sure. I think he might have lost. I think Chris Green did win that fight. That's when I fought Jason Liss and got my butt kicked real quick.
Right.
It's the title fight. But that's why his name rings a bell.
Right.
So I'm interested to see. I haven't heard his name in a while, and then when I seen him pop up on the fight card as a brown belt, it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, I'd like to see him gi too,
Right.
which I prefer gi. I like gi better than no gi.
I was going to ask you that after we got through the card.
Yeah, no, I love no gi. I just think it's a little bit more technical. I mean, no gi's hard too. I mean, it's all hard, but
Yeah.
I just feel no gi eventually after a while. You get, you start sweating and you can kind of start sliding out. You
Right.
really can't make mistakes with the gi on because all the grips, you know.
Right.
Yeah. I can contest
yeah.
to that. That's a lot different.
So I don't know too much about Dino's his opponent, but I'm interested in seeing that fight just because I remember him from that fight card.
All right, let's talk about I was getting into the black belts. Darren Branch. We got Darren Branch, Love and Chokes.
Yeah, he's a Gracie Humata guy, and that's Darren Branch he's a character, hell of a black belt, hell of a competitor. He's been around for a while competing, and good instructor. He does actually he has his own podcast too called Love and Chokes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, people out there, tune in, listen to him. He's knows a lot about jiu-jitsu. I always like when he's on a fight card because he brings it, man. His opponent,
Rob Hillman.
he is out of Leverage.
Leverage. Right.
He's the head instructor, co-head instructor.
Okay.
Him and Tom Scalia, I believe they both got promoted to black belt the same day by Tom DeBlas. They're
Okay.
a Tom DeBlas affiliate. Both of those guys are on the card. Both are very good, active competitors. This Darren Branch and Rob Howman matchup is very interesting to me. Anybody from Leverage is really good, and they're all very seasoned at leg locks because that's just You know, that's that Tom DeBlass style. This could be, I mean, this could be one of the fights that is going to be, you know, a fight of the night type, you know,
Yeah.
matchup here. So it's going to be really interesting to watch this fight.
Okay.
And you mentioned Tom Scala.
Yeah, that's
He's on the card too, right?
yeah. He is one of the other. I believe he's one of the other instructors at Leverage. Very good. These guys, you know, a lot of the Leverage guys seem to compete no-gi. I don't know
Okay.
if maybe that's just what they prefer more.
Right.
He's very good. And another guy's going to attack the legs. Very interested in seeing that matchup too. These Leverage guys, man, they got a great gym. I believe it's out in the Cortland area.
Mm-hmm.
I've not yet been out there. I know a couple of people that I trained with have gone out there. And actually, Tom DeBlass, who gave them their black belt, is going to be in town. And I believe he's giving a seminar. This Fight to Win card's on a Friday. I think the seminar is going to be on a Saturday. So it's going to be a packed house there on Saturday.
Oh, I can
With Tom
imagine.
DeBlass, and yeah, he's world class. So
And we'll move on. We got the man check.
oh,
I rolled with him one time. I mean, this guy's like 165, 170 pounds. You know, he beat the shit out of me. I mean, I was 240 pounds, man. He tore me up, man. It was so smooth. He was so calm, and it was like every movement was just like water flowing. He just right in and out like it was nothing.
hey, don't be ashamed. He does that to people. I mean, I've known Mike since he started. You know, I think I might have been a blue belt when he started, and he started at Doodoo Barrows, and made the transition. He's the Matt Waterhouse black belt.
Okay.
He runs his own academy out in Worcester, Manchac Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got a really great core group of guys down there. Manchac, man, he's just so natural. I mean, he's really, you know, a student of, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. He just is always watching, you know, films. He trains so much, you know, and I tell you, I remember when we used to roll together when he first started, man, and, you know, I think I might have got the best of him back then, you know, and it did not take long for him to, like, it seemed like as soon as he got his blue belt, man, he just took off, man, and he is so technical. Every time I mean, he's one of these guys that I love rolling with, but I also hate rolling with him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he just
Shows your flaws real quick.
yeah, man. He basically I learned what not to do. You know
Right.
when I'm rolling with him
Yeah.
because I mean he's just so technical, man. He's so good. I'm real excited for him to fight on this card, and
He's going against a John Cora.
yeah, I believe it's. I mean, I tell you what, this is gonna be a great fight. Great fight. He's out of Indiana. I watched some footage on him. You know, very good black belt. He's one of the head instructors at his academy. I believe he might be a little bit heavier than Manchac is for this fight. But that's another fight right there to keep your eye on. I think it could be another one of those, you know, fight of the night type.
yeah.
You know, Manchac's is right now, you know, he's just training on another level right now. I mean,
Right.
he's very good.
And then moving on to the co-main event, 185-pound black belt gi, got Dante Leon
Oh yeah, He's
versus
from-
Cameron Knight.
yeah, Cameron Knight. I've never met him personally, but he's been around for a long time.
He's West Virginia, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
in West
he's been
Virginia.
a long time. He's been, you know, the Dustin Ware throws on that the American Grappling Challenge. He's fought in those. I mean, it seems like since the beginning, if I'm not mistaken. A very good grappler. Has won a lot of tournaments. But Dante, I mean, he's very active competitor on the biggest stage. You know, he's fighting in the Worlds, he's Pan Am's, you know, the Chicago Opens, and he's on the podium pretty much every time too. That's gonna be you know, as a fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when you have people like that on a card, you get excited because
Right.
you know I would probably never be able to see this guy really compete in person, you know, because a lot of these guys travel out to California and train, you know,
Right.
and that's one thing I like about this Fight to Win. A lot of the guys that you watch, you know, on the internet and stuff like that, are going to be here in your hometown fighting.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, and as a fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's just great to have these guys in town, be able to actually watch them fight in person.
And our main event at 180 pounds, black belt no gi, and we got Vitor Oliveira versus Keith Minor.
Oliveira is world class.
Yeah.
World champion, I believe. Masters in Masters. Is it Masters no gi or was he Masters gi world champion? But aside from the point, he's from down in Columbus. Small fact, I believe his girlfriend is also a black belt. I think there might only be 2 to 3, female black belts in the state of Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Right.
His girlfriend being one. So that's just a small fact. But if you look at this guy, you're like, I don't want to compete against him. He's he competes on the world stage. He's always on the podium. I think he actually beat somebody that I really like, Josh Hinger out of Atos.
Okay.
In a no-gi. Hinger's a 2-time no-gi world champion, and
Wow.
I think Vitor beat him. So, like I said, being able to see these guys compete in person is just a treat for everybody that likes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
You
It's like
know?
having like the UFC event come to Cleveland and actually seeing some of your favorite fighters fight.
Well, no, it's actually more along the lines
But-
of watching having UFC fight in a local promotion.
Yeah, but I mean,
See,
you're saying this is being
not
being the
spending-
fan. If you're a huge fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Right.
this is like that feeling, like
Exactly.
coming in here and it looks like me. Like I don't know a lot of these guys. I feel like I'm gonna start looking some of these guys up and seeing, a lot of their matches, especially if they competed internationally on a world stage. It'd be really interesting to see them compete.
Right.
So, and then there's one more I wanted to touch up on. It'd be the Robert Hendrickson versus Seth Daniels. Now, this was originally supposed to be Robert Hendrickson versus Dan Swift, and I guess this fight had gotten pulled from the card because of the dogfighting conviction that Dan Swift was a part of. I guess he was supposed to. He had been sentenced to 10 months in prison, which he is not currently serving. He's appealing it, correct?
Right. He is appealing it.
And I guess the owner of Fight to Win, Seth Daniels, he was under the impression that Dan had served time, and
Okay.
what they were going to do is they were going to any winnings, any money, any proceedings is all going to go to an animal hospital,
Okay.
a local animal hospital. That was but when he found out that he had actually not served the time,
Okay.
he actually pulled Dan Swift from the card. So, and he took his place.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know that he was an active competitor. I didn't know that he was.
All right, Seth Daniels, again, I don't know him personally,
Right.
but I believe he recently got promoted to black belt not too long ago. I mean, he competes on a lot of his shows and wins.
Okay.
I mean, he's about as tough as they come, man. He's super aggressive. So it doesn't surprise me that he's jumping in, taking Dan Swift's place,
Right.
I can understand why he pulled Dan Swift off the card.
Right.
There's
There's a lot of bad publicity.
Well, I guess
with
you
that.
got like hundreds of emails, hundreds of
Yeah.
Facebook messages that a lot of people were upset, and I guess I say he was under the impression that Dan Swift had served time. If he had served the time, it's like they let Michael Vick back in the NFL.
Right.
Right.
After you do your time. You donate some money to an animal shelter or an animal hospital.
Yeah.
You do
Wasn't
the
there
right
a boxer that also had the same
I don't know.
allegations as well?
I'm sure there's tons of athletes that have been, tons of people have been convicted of dogfighting,
Yeah.
animal cruelty, and stuff like that. It's just, like I said, Seth Daniels was under the impression that he had already served time, so he was going to allow him to fight on the card. And when
Yeah.
they found out that he didn't actually serve the time, that he's appealing it, he pulled him from the card, and he did the right thing. Especially with Robert Hendrickson too. I mean, instead of him not getting paid, him not having an opponent
Right.
to compete, now Seth decided to step up and said, what, screw it, I'm gonna go ahead and take the fight.
Yeah, but it
That's
doesn't shock
awesome.
me. It doesn't
Yeah.
shock me. Now,
It's like if Dana White decided to go ahead and step
that ain't
in,
gonna
what I'm saying?
Right.
that can happen.
But at the same time, it shows conviction to your fight or to the promotion that you're working with.
Yeah, I mean,
it shows
it's-
a lot of
It's why this promotion is successful
right.
on a national scale. So yeah,
Yeah, it's Seth Daniels is, like I said, I mean, he's the active competitor. He competes on the shows anyways. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he's going to jump in. And that's pretty awesome that he's doing that anyways, because you have a guy that's kind of pumped up, training for a fight. It falls apart. You know, the guy gets pulled. And he steps in and takes his place. Now, you know, like I said, I see why he did it, and I understand why. But I bet you there is also a lot of guys out there, you know, that say, hey, you know what? Screw it. Let Swift stay on the card.
Right.
Let him go out there and get his butt kicked by, you know, his opponent. You know, so there's another angle, because I've seen a lot of people say, I wish he would have just stayed on the card. And I wish that he would just went out there and got choked out for doing this, you know?
You know, I completely agree where a lot of these
Yeah.
people are coming from, but at the same time, a lot of issue and controversy happens in Northeast Ohio because of the fact that I think I have noticed that there are a lot more animal lovers around here.
Well, yeah.
So as soon as PETA or somebody else along those lines of a large, you know, animal activist group gets wind of something like this, man, they will shut shit down.
Oh, well.
And having a picket line sitting outside of your frickin'
Well, it becomes
promotion.
I don't want to say Dan Swift had become a liability to the show. But I mean, let's face it, he was getting a lot of heat. The promotion was going to get a lot of heat from it. And hell, yeah. And I'm sure there were fighters and competitors that said, yeah, fuck it. Go ahead and keep him on the card. Let's see him get choked out. But there are also a lot of guys on that card as well who was like, fuck this guy. He doesn't deserve to be on this card after what he's done. Let him, you know. So I think Seth made the right choice.
Yeah.
I think he made the right choice. I think
too.
by pulling Dan and then taking the fight himself, hell, he might even donate to an animal shelter. You know, Seth Daniels, he might even take what he might not even be taking a cut, and he might actually make a generous donation to an animal shelter or an animal hospital locally in Cleveland. So we really don't know.
Well, I you know, I do know Darren Branch. Like I said, he does run a podcast, Love and Chokes. I don't know if he already did, but I know he was talking about having Dan Swift on his podcast to give his side of the story. So if he hasn't yet, and you're interested, you know, I know, you know, tune in, look up Love and Chokes if you want to hear Dan Swift's side of the story.
Absolutely. That's about all we have time for today. I want to thank Jason Davis for coming in and
Thanks for
talking some
having me.
Jitz. And like I said, guys, want to check out Fight to Win promotion. It's at the NE Sports Plant located at 20001 Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio. It's only $40 for general admission. And until next time, guys, take it easy.
Later.
Later.